All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How y'all feeling? Good to see you. YouTube people, what's up? Some folks on YouTube already. Thanks for hanging out. And Rockfin chatters in the chats. Denver posted a link about a teenager dying, collapsing during a choir event. Wow. Church choir. Denver says it's hard to blame that on cocaine. It does seem odd, right? I mean, again, you can't conclude that one thing is causing this, but yeah, it is interesting. We'll talk more about that later in the show for sure. Yeah. Well, let's there's a lot of things I want to cover today, so let's get in. We're live on Callin as well. Callin app. Definitely avail yourself of the Callin app if you want to call in and have a chat. That's cool. Oh, I got some coffees after hours. Andrew Lubbers got me a couple more coffees. Said, heard you got the coffees. Coolness. Thanks again for the good shows. Thank you, Andrew. And Carrie Johnson bought me a whole bunch of coffees, 5 coffees. I so appreciate your embrace of poverty in yesterday's show. So prophetic. It's a bad look to live in a gated mansion while your neighbors starve in the apocalypse. So tacky. Yeah. And TCR actually sent me a message on Twitter, saying I didn't bring up the overpopulation deal as well. But yeah, for sure. I was talking about possible paths to ward off extinction. And yeah, definitely that included. Meaning nobody wants to kill anybody. Meaning what we would do was slowly try to curb the growth of the population. But I think also if people had less things or were living within a certain consumptive, with certain consumptive restraints, it actually probably wouldn't allow you to bring more children in. I don't know. It's kind of there are different parameters to that discussion. But I agree. We would have to, 8 billion people trying to farm the planet for the necessary food. If that's what we were doing, we're like, okay, look, we just need the necessities in order to go forward. We don't need all the things, but we need the necessities. 8 billion people trying to farm, might cause problems. I don't know. Probably would. We'd end up destroying a lot of farmland. We'd end up depleting the soil of nutrients. We'd end up, all that kind of stuff. We would probably overconsume that as well. So definitely, lowering the population through thoughtful conversation about it. Hey, what can we do? Maybe we shouldn't have so many babies. Okay, sounds like a good idea. Let's plan on that. Okay, that's not crazy. That's not a crazy conversation, is it? Reagan Parrington says, we need all the things. Right now we do, yeah. We need all the things. Consume more, yes. Yeah, no, it's not a crazy conversation at all. In fact, it's a sane conversation. The crazy conversation is, I want to have 8 kids now on this planet. That's a crazy conversation. That's a goofy conversation. I want to have all the kids and all the stuff and all the things and all the mansions and all the jets. That's a crazy conversation. All right. Kameshwari Kate says, imagine 8 billion people practicing regenerative agricultural methods. Yeah. I mean, that would be way more helpful, right? I mean, maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe if 8 billion people were doing regenerative farming and regenerating hydrological cycles, like maybe it would take that much. Maybe it would take 8 billion people doing, all 8 billion people tending the earth. Maybe that would be helpful. I don't know. People might disagree with me or argue that point with me, and that's fine. I don't know if you were being funny, Kate, but still, maybe that's what it would take. All 8 billion people going towards the earth and doing, helping restart a healthy planet, and then slowly bring the population down. I don't know. Anyways, I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation, Carrie. Thank you. Let's keep going. Well, let's start going. Let's start going. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get it together. I do have my show all organized with stuff today. Oh, hi, that's me. You're not supposed to see me again. All right. Saw this. Was it the professor that posted this? Maybe. Concern about climate change shrinks globally as threat grows. Yep. And I talk about the various reasons why people are confused about climate change. But unfortunately, one of the reasons is because of COVID. And then you have, on the heels of COVID, you have inflation and war and, all these other very immediate problems, right? So, but COVID, beyond the shutdown, which might have helped the planet for a little while as far as emissions and planetary destruction goes. Besides that, apart from that, COVID did a number on the planet. COVID did a number on climate change. Why? Because it was, it's how humans operate, especially if there's an emergency. All hands on deck. Everything we need, whatever you need, masks, equipment, hand sanitizer, stuff. Oh my God, I went to an Indigenous Day festival on Indigenous Peoples Day. That was last week. It was cool. But man, it was weird too, because there were people walking around passing out these little COVID packs. And I was like, this is disconnected as hell. People going around passing out, plastic bags filled with plastic. I was like, you're just handing out death. I know you think you're helping. I know that you think this is the good thing to do for people, and you're just, this is a very caring gesture. I was like, no, thank you. And then a woman got us to sign a petition. I forget what for. Signed a petition, and after the petition was over, she was like, how about some hand sanitizer? And I was like, it's not a big deal to go like, or actually, a lot of people might be go, oh, that's wise, use some hand sanitizer. I was like, no, I'm good. you know, sanitizing. We're sanitizing our way off the planet is what we're doing. We are sanitizing our way off the planet. So maybe that hand sanitizer is, cool for the moment, killing some microbes or something on your hands. But in the long run, there was just a lot of code going on there at this Indigenous Peoples Day. So I was like, and there was people on stage saying like, yeah, we got so many people vaccinated, and I was like, that's stupid. That you're all cheering this on. I was like, Jesus, the propaganda is real. The propaganda is real. And then there's a propaganda about, anyways, I'm going to stop talking about that. Anyways, that's enough. I'll leave this to the end of the show. Andre, sterile Earth. Indeed. Let's sterilize our way off the planet. Remember when you're a kid and or if you're a parent, everybody knows you don't keep your kid from going outside and playing in the dirt and touching things why? Because that's how you build immunity. That's how your body works. You're supposed to go out into the world and contact all these things and come in contact with all, and some of those things might be dangerous, and you have to be careful and you have to be knowledgeable about what the things that might be dangerous out there are. Yeah, your water is chlorinated. Exactly. Human love solidarity. This thing, you're basically drinking poison, right? When you're drinking water, like public water, you're drinking a little bit of poison every time you take a sip. But that's how we keep the public health. That's how we keep the water clean. But it's just it's like bringing a hammer to do, I don't know what my analogy was going to be. Bringing a sledgehammer, to maybe pound a small nail or to, put a picture in the wall, right? Sledgehammers look like a little bit, could actually be more damaging than it's gonna, right? To put the little tiny nail in whatever. I'm not saying don't be clean. I'm not saying don't, but there's a point at which it goes over the edge, I know there is definitely there's a negative to all this hand sanitizer and like sanitizing everything. And, there's a negative to that. So there's a balance somewhere in the middle. It's like, being totally filthy and setting yourself up for disease, and then trying to keep yourself healthy and not too, not too inside of the sanitizer bubble. Because that will kill you as quickly as the germs. Anyways, I was reading this. I was trying to read this. But anyways, yeah, they COVID was one of those things that made people not, because it was an emergency, and everybody was like, I don't know, what about who cares about whatever for the planet? We have a pandemic. Concerns about climate change shrank across the world last year, with fewer than half of those questioned in a new survey believing it posed a very serious threat to their countries over the next 20 years. Only 20% of people in China, the world's biggest polluter, said they believed that climate change was a very serious threat, down 3% or percentage points from the last survey by Gallup in 2019. Globally, the figure fell by 1.5 percentage points to 48.7%. in 2021. The survey was based on more than 125,000 interviews in 121 countries. COVID-19 pandemic and concerns about more immediate issues such as health and livelihoods may partly explain the drop, what I just talked about. Regions facing the highest ecological threats are on average the least concerned about climate change. Regions facing the highest ecological threats are on average the least concerned. Only 27% in the Middle East and North Africa and 39% in South Asia concerned about the risks. But despite the shrinking concern, the ecological bill of climate change is growing globally. Right. Well, obviously, something's happening because things are getting way worse. In the last couple of years, climate change is definitely showing its teeth, baring its fangs, whatever you want to say. There's water stress, there's all kinds of things, weather extremes. Climate impacts are on the rise while people are like, no, I don't care. You can blame COVID for that a little bit. And you could also, there's also a lot of propaganda around how it's all a hoax and, the bad people made COVID. So of course they made climate change too, right? So they're trying to conflate these things, which are not the same things. They're not the same things at all. Yeah. So, and we're going to read something by Jem Bendell later, which, he gives an interesting perspective on, when Jem Bendell is well known for his climate, ecological concerns. All right, let's keep going. But that doesn't bode well, right? The lack of concern, the growing lack of concern. For climate change doesn't bode well when the threat of it is rising. No, really? I don't believe you. What? Do we lose something here? That's weird. Huh. That was a tweet from Peter Dines. I don't know where that went. Did he delete it? I guess he did. All right. Well, we're not going to cover that. Anyways, there are extreme weather events happening right now. There are heat waves in Europe, or hotter weather going on in Europe. There's a crazy thing going on in the U.S., a bifurcation, if you will, of like extreme cold and extreme heat, anomalous cold and anomalous heat. Today in France and Spain, the 19th of October, temperatures have been full summer, day and night. 31.9 C at San Sebastian, and at Troisville in France. Very warm also at high altitudes with monthly records. 27 C at Riom and 22.9 C at Les Lyon. Yeah, so, very, very, very warm weather for this time of year when it should be fall. We are supposed to touch 90 degrees today. And it was really warm yesterday in LA. But let's see what's happening in the U.S. Harsh cold spell in eastern USA contrasts with the heat in the west, where temperatures of 80 Fahrenheit are expected again in Alberta tomorrow, over 95 in Sacramento Valley. in Redding in California, 95 degrees. Today, minimum temperatures dropped as low as 6 Fahrenheit at Britton, South Dakota, and Goodridge, Montana. So, sorry. So look at that. We have this, heat anomaly in Canada and in the south, into the southwest, and a massive. I mean, obviously, this is a big polar vortex going on, a massive cold bubble blob going all the way down to the tip of Texas. And look at the anomaly at the bottom of Texas, getting into like negative 30, not negative 30 degrees, but negative 30 temperature anomaly in Fahrenheit. So it's 30 degrees colder than it's supposed to be. From Aaron K. or Arun K. Jetstream is broken. And cause of all these heat waves and polar vortexes, the U.S. is getting bisected by the Sith now. Here's what the jet stream looks like. I mean, it doesn't look like it. It just looks like a soup. Jet stream is supposed to be going, supposed to be like a solid line across here. Or fairly solid. But here's what it's supposed to look like. What it used to look like, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now it just looks like whatever. And we'll watch a little video of this. Hopefully the sound will cooperate.
Well, if you're fighting to turn your heat on this early, you have about 48 hours more to go of the struggle. Hang in there. Freeze warnings go all the way down to the south. It is bitterly cold across 2/3 of the country right now, from the north all the way down to the south. Temperatures running well below average, and potential record lows are going to be in the forecast here. So it starts out very cold. It doesn't warm up much today, even down to the south. Temperatures stay below average. There's a look at your wind chills throughout the day. Yes, we have a wind chill that we're talking about. Now, Thursday morning, this will be the last of the really cold mornings before we see that rebound. And once again on Thursday, we could be looking at some potential record breakers in the morning. But notice by afternoon, that rebound comes in on Thursday. So temperatures start to get back into the 70s down to the south, 60s and 50s up to the north. And then on Friday, it's real smooth sailing here, very warm. Chicago, you'll make it into the low 70s, and then you just coast right into the weekend with temperatures staying above average.
All right. Yeah, did you see that? Getting down to like 29 degrees in Jackson, Mississippi. Oh, that's cold. Below freezing in mid-October. That's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. From Christopher Cartwright. It says, I'm officially out of words to describe this. This is the forecast for the coming week. Temperature anomaly in Europe. With a little bloop of cold right here. But look at that. So the anomalous heat is going to continue. In Europe. All right. Going to take a quick break and check on the coffees. A really good way to support the channel is at buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. Don't have any coffees yet today. Checking up on the Rockfin tips. No Rockfin tips as of yet. I haven't been able to watch that movie, the real Anthony Fauci movie. I'm going to get there, though. I just have a lot of things to look at all day long, right? It's kind of impossible to take in all the information, especially when you have like other things to do. Now would be a good time to call in on Call-In app if you have something to say for the next couple of minutes. And we're going to jump off of YouTube pretty soon. Giving you guys fair warning. Peter Nines, about a quarter of the remaining oil is in the Arctic region. The market favors the destruction of the natural sea ice in favor of profit. If we lose the Arctic, we lose the globe. He's actually making a really good point, and also, right from long ago, from the old days of geoengineering, or the military having, thinking about crazy ways they could cook the atmosphere, or we'll call it, back in the days of super crazy kookball ideas, right, that the scientists and the government had about what they were going to do in the future, right? And over the decades, a lot of those ideas came to be seen as pretty out there, pretty insane. And one of those was like, yeah, we'll melt, at one time in the past, they were all excited about melting all the ice in the Arctic, because there's lots of stuff up there. We could get it and sell it. We dig it up and we'll sell it. And now, obviously melting the Arctic is a bad idea. But at the same time, they're like, well, since it's already melted, I guess we might as well go get the oil, because, it's already melted and, the damage is done. So we might as well just go get the stuff. They're going to fight over that. They're going to fight over that. And when somebody said something about the Ukraine war being, about trying to get Russia's oil, well, maybe it's that, or maybe it's about trying to kneecap Russia before the race to the Arctic gets really heated up, right? Everybody's going to race in there and try and get all the stuff. And maybe they feel like, oh, well, if we can hem them up somehow before we get in there, before there's a mad dash, that would benefit us, right? Who knows? And lastly, Fantomas in the climate. This is for the climate stuff. Fantomas sent me this about the fact that Sweden has removed their Ministry of Environment. Seems kind of strange. I would think that Sweden is more concerned about the environment than most. Somebody said that they were combining it with the Industry and Commerce Ministry, which also sounds about right, but doesn't sound good, right? Anyways. I'm not sure how relevant this news is or how true it is, but That's what they're saying. The new Swedish government decides to abolish the Ministry for Environment. Anyways. All right, we're going to switch over. I want to talk about some other things, obviously not safe for YouTube things. And so we'll switch over to Rockfin and Colin. YouTubers, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks to all the tippers today or last night. Peace out.